All right, Kathy, good job. We're live.
That-
YouTube.
That's all Troy, not me.
Oh no, I saw you clicking buttons. It's on you.
Really trying to avoid it.
We all ready?
Yeah, we're streaming live on YouTube. Let's see. Probably should put a Facebook post out there.
We got Kim's flag again tonight. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Let's get started. So this is going to be a Lake Stevens City Council special meeting.
It's a regular meeting.
No, it's a regular meeting, and it's July 14th, 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night. And this meeting is being held via Zoom online. And with that in mind, I'll call the meeting to order. And we'll start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance using Kim's flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, with that, Kathy, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Daughtry,
Here.
Councilmember Peter Shagan,
Here.
Councilmember Frederick,
Here.
Councilmember Dickinson,
Here.
Councilmember Jorstad,
Here.
Councilmember Ewing, Councilmember Tagent.
Here.
So all are present except for Councilmember Ewing. Oh, wait, hold on. He's in the waiting room. Councilmember Ewing, can you answer that you're here for roll call?
Yes, I just got tuned in here.
Thank you. So all council members are present.
Excellent. Thank you, Kathy. So we need an approval of an agenda, Council President, and we need to move item I to action items if we can.
Great. We had a discussion about that. So if we can move that item from the consent I to action item, if I can get someone to approve the budget, or excuse me, approve the agenda with that change as noted, unless there's some other change that's out there.
So moved.
Second,
First, second, Steve Ewing seconded. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. So Mayor, you have an agenda.
Excellent. Thank you very much, President. Okay, we're going to move into citizens' comments. And tonight, we will open up the floor for citizens' comments. And if you have comments as a citizen, you'll have 3 minutes. If you would start off, please, with your name and address, and then you'll have 3 minutes to have the floor. And if I see hands up or if I hear a first name, I'll acknowledge you. So with that in mind, is there any citizens' comments tonight?
Yes, I have one.
Mark Summers, go ahead.
Yes, I inadvertently hid my video, so I don't know where I am.
We see you.
Okay, good. Well, I wrote down some notes here. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I want to comment really for all who are listening tonight.
Mark, can we get your address, please, for a quick?
I'm sorry, 2411 118th Drive Northeast.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment about the Herald article last week about the campaign sign stealing incident on Lundin Parkway. I don't know the person's name or where he lives or what he was thinking, but taking political signs is illegal, and taking only Black candidate signs is a racist act. That will not be tolerated here. His action is clearly opposed to our recent resolution condemning racism. We must not look away and remain silent when incidences like this happen in our city, but continue to recognize, talk about, and stand proudly for racial equality. Earl Grey confronted the thief on the street and asked the man what he was doing. "Are you Lovick?" the man reportedly replied. Grey said no. "Then it's none of your expletive business." Well, as a volunteer and a candidate supporter, I want to emphasize that campaign signs along the road are our business. And I, for one, will be helping to put them back where they belong. Thank you.
All right, Mark, thank you. Do we have any other citizens' comments tonight? Any other citizens' comments?
Hello,
Elizabeth, I think I'm hearing you.
thank you. I'm Elizabeth Quello. I'm a resident of Lake Stevens. I want to thank Mark Summers for his comment. I really appreciate that he brought that to the meeting tonight. I want to piggyback off of that, saying that there are many citizens in Lake Stevens who are still interested in having an equity and inclusion commission. So I hope that once you guys have your racial equity training, that maybe you'll revisit that possibility. I was listening on to the last week's city council meeting, and there was the discussion point about the mayor changing from a full-time or part-time position to a full-time position. I think if anyone who's doing full-time work deserves a full-time salary, I think it's, I think it's worth to consider that if you're putting in the works and you're putting in more than 40 hours a week, especially as a city official, that person deserves to be getting paid for what they're doing. I would like to see like how those 40 hours break down, just personally, because I'm curious. But I want to support the mayor that if a mayor is putting in that amount of work, that they should get paid and reflected for that. Other than that, there is a Lake Stevens Anti-Racist Book Club. The first book is Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. I sent that to you, Brett Gailey. And I saw your message. Sorry, I never responded to that. But you are all welcome to come. I changed the date. It's August 2nd now. It's a Sunday. So I hope to see you all there to discuss the book. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you for the book. It's on deck. I've got one in the batter's box now, but that one's on deck. Do I have any other citizens' comments for tonight? Any other citizens' comments? I am not seeing any, so we'll close that portion of the agenda and we'll move to council business. Council President, do you have anything for us?
I do not have anything for you within, it's been a busy week. So starting yesterday, so busy out there. So I will move forward with Councilmember Kim Daughtry.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Great. And then we'll go with Councilmember Angie Jorstad.
Good evening. Just real quickly, I'm sure Sean will go into more detail. The Health District Board meeting was this afternoon. And as always, Dr. Spitters provided some really timely and relevant information. It was really sort of good to hear, where our county is. Numbers continue to be 3 to 4 times higher than they should be if we want to move into phase 3. Really stress the importance of county and city leaders sort of leading by example and wearing our masks in public, ensuring that we're not gathering in groups larger than 4 or 5 people. There's a real increase in numbers among younger folks in our community, and they're attributing that to the community spread. And so as much as we can do to help get the word out, that the more that we can socially distance and wear our masks, hopefully the sooner we can continue to progress through the phases. So it was a good meeting. I appreciate Dr. Spitters in our community. I think we're really fortunate to have him. That's it for me. Thanks.
Councilmember Peter Sagan.
I have nothing tonight.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Mary Dickinson.
I met with the Senior Center Board yesterday, and they've added, starting this week, a second free lunch. 228 members of the Senior Center are so grateful for this chance to literally see their old friends. A shout out to the Chamber of Commerce for donating $250 towards those meals. Also, the police department has provided free masks to any and all who come to the lunches, which is so appreciated. I checked out the amazing progress at Frontier Heights Park, walked Eagle Ridge Park, and see great potential for a challenging hike right in town. Very exciting. I visited the 18th Street site with Mayor Galey and Chief Administrator Brazel to talk about working with the Historic Society. I look forward to meeting with the board and city staff and the mayor again Thursday morning. I look forward to the training I'll take tomorrow morning on equity and race relations. I will be speaking, and so will Angie, with Representative Lovick tomorrow. So if there's something you want me to say to him besides trestle, let me know, okay? I'd be glad to tell him what you feel, how you feel, and thanks to Kim for some suggestions. I was so glad to see the masks worn at the farmer's market and at the Veterans Memorial dedication. However, I truly think it's critical that staff and Public Works and Council continue to show our support of wearing masks and social distancing, particularly in public. I always wear a mask, but it's not for me. It's for the people around me. We're seeing a definite uptick of cases of COVID in Lake Stevens, and it's obvious why. One thing the pandemic has taught me, and that is that we are all in this together, but guess what? We always have been. With the simple application of wearing a mask and social distancing, we can make our communities stronger, more united, and healthier. Thanks for letting me take a couple extra minutes to say that. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Sean Frederick.
I think all of the public health comments have been pretty well covered. So I just want to take a second to dispel one of the most common rumors out there about the increase in cases. The fact that the reason why we're seeing increased cases is not because we're doing more testing. We are doing more testing. We are simply seeing a higher rate of positivity, which means there's a higher percentage of the positive cases, which indicates that there are more people spreading the disease. So like everyone has said, wear a mask, do all of the appropriate measures, both hygienic, wearing masks and social distancing and all of those things so that we can get through this on the other side and get our communities open safely and eventually get our kids back to school and be able to visit all of our loved ones around the country freely. Everyone has a chance to be a leader in this. Please don't let the opportunity slip by.
Councilmember Steve Ewing.
I just wanted to, again, thank everyone who's helped out with the farmers market. There's been a tremendous feedback and input from members of the community to express their gratitude for what's going on there. And I also want to just express condolences to the Bothell police officer who was murdered last night and his FTO officer who was critically injured in a murder, an attempted murder. And so just hope we can keep them, him and his family, and the city of Bothell and their citizens in our thoughts and prayers.
Great. Mayor, that would be the council's business.
Great, President. Thank you. I too as well would like to express just sorrow and condolences for the officer. The officer in Bothell, Jonathan Shoup. He brand new officer, just came out of the Coast Guard and was starting a career in law enforcement, a career to help people and try to do better in our community. And any loss is tragic, and his is especially tragic. So I'd like to make sure people think about that. And I would also like to acknowledge that tonight is our very own Kathy Pugh's last city council meeting. And she's been with us, it's been around 10 years, right, Kathy?
6.
6?
Mhm.
Seems like 10.
It does sometimes, but mostly not.
Kathy's decided that she would rather ride her motorcycle than hang out with us any longer. So this will be her last meeting. We'll make sure we get a good send off. She's not going too far from us, and we'll get a good send off for her as soon as we can. But make sure that you Zoomly shake Kathy's hand tonight and wish her good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Let me give you guys a Highway 9 204 update. Currently, SR 9 and SR 204 project, so the WASDOT project, remember this is a WASDOT project, we're looking at stage 2 is scheduled to be advertised in the fall winter of this year, and it is on track to be constructed in summer of 2021. So what that is the in and out of 4th Street off of northbound Highway 9. So that's phase 2. Stage 3 is scheduled to be advertised in early winter of 2022, and it is on track to be constructed in summer of 2022. And that's when the whole shebang gets done. That's when we have a lot of traffic problems for a while. So that's your update on 9 and 204. I know that's a big question out there. And moving along slowly, but moving along. I'm having the opportunity, I reached out a couple weeks ago. I saw some concern about internet speeds in the city of Lake Stevens, and it's something that perked my interest, and I wanted to get smarter about how's the internet delivered and how do some people have fast internet and some people don't have fast internet. And so I just started doing my own studying on it. I had a great discussion with a guy named Russ Elliott yesterday, who is the broadband guy for the state of Washington Department of Commerce. And he pushed me on to a test site at broadband.washington.gov. And if you go to that site, I recommend everybody go to that site, do the test, do the survey, and then what happens is your information gets published on this big map. And so he's able to then look at that map and see where we don't have good coverage for internet, where we're slow and where we're fast. And the map, I've got the map up right now. We have about 100, since I posted that on social media, we have about 100 people hitting that survey, and we're starting to see some white dots, which is really low speeds, and some darker blue dots, which is fast speeds. So it's interesting. And then to find out what companies are slower, there is some money out there right now, some grant money to work on broadband issues. And I was going to see how we went on the survey for about a week, and I was going to get back with Russ and see what those results look like and what we can do to maybe improve our infrastructure in Lake Stevens. You know, as we're staying home and our kids are studying from home and we're all working from home, we need to increase those speeds up so that we're doing things faster. Bigger, better, faster is what I like to say. Over the last week or so, I've been getting awareness out to the staff on wanting us to switch our processes to using smart sheets. Smart sheets to keep us organized within our projects and to do some organization within staff. And we're slowly making those moves and meeting with smart sheets to see how we can integrate that program into our city and improve our processes and increase our transparency as well to our citizens. Those are a couple of things that I've got going on for the week. And with that, Gene, can we give director's reports, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And I just wanted to thank Kathy as well. You've been a big help to me, and I just really appreciate you, and you definitely will be missed, my friend.
Thank you.
Russ.
Good evening, council and audience members. A few things to go over with you tonight. I wanted to give you an update on our summer event schedule. We had a lot of discussions internally, and since we haven't moved out of phase 2, we have canceled the music events for this summer. We have not canceled movies yet. We're looking for some alternatives, specifically if we can maybe get a drive-in type showing. So staff is working on that, and we'll report back with our progress on that. We do have a funeral scheduled at Lundin Park on the 22nd, and that will also include a 21 gun salute. There's going to be a second Corona cruise on the 25th of July. And then talking about permits, just wanted to give you an update on where we are year to date. So we have over 520 building permits year to date. We're at 66 code violations and 112 land use applications. And that doesn't include other miscellaneous applications such as signs, fires, and fire permits and right of way. We're working on the next phase of our small business grant. We have 15 applicants to date. That closes on Friday. So we'll report back at the next council meeting when we're ready. We'll do the awards before then, but we'll get you the list of applicants and those who receive the award in the future. And then just wanted to give you an update on our waterfront residential task force. We've had 23 interested people. We sent out a questionnaire to all of the interested folks. We've received 14 questionnaires back, and today staff made a recommendation to the mayor with 11 residents that are from different backgrounds in the city, different parts of the lake, and have a different professional skill set. So anyway, the mayor will be making that final decision, and we'll let you know how that process continues to shape up. And that's my report tonight.
Thanks, Russ. Let's go to Anya.
Good evening, council. I just wanted a quick update to let you know that the Community Foundation of Snohomish County has been working with us with our equity inclusion training and providing us some grant money. They're going to be working with us with that. But they also just reached out the other day and offered 2 slots for council members to attend the Leadership Snohomish County Conference Step Up 2020, which is about moving racial equity forward. It's on July 24th. It's a Friday from 8 to 5. So if anybody is interested, we have 2 slots available provided by the Community Foundation of Snohomish County. I see a hand. Mary looks like she's interested. If anybody else is interested, shoot me an email or just let me know and we'll get you signed up. And that's it.
Thanks, Anya. Okay, Barb.
Kathy, can I share my screen? Oh, Brian, where are you? Where am I? Here, I'm making you a co-host. Now, can you share? I can. Yay. Okay. Now, can you see my City of Lake Stevens COVID-19 financial update second quarter? Okay, good. And you can hear me. Okay, so I wanted to start out with the financial update with our expectations like we have seen in the past in prior meetings. The sales tax is the thing that we're going to focus most on tonight, or focus generally on. When we started our budget process in 2019 for 2020, our expectation was to increase sales tax approximately 6% overall over 2019. Our first expectation when the COVID-19 shutdown started to occur, we forecasted approximately a 24% decrease. It's extremely difficult to forecast this, but based on what we're seeing in our current trends, we have changed our update to a 10% decrease instead of a 24% decrease. This has not changed since the last time I presented it to you. We're just keeping a really good eye on it at this point. But I did want to kind of show you where some of this information is coming from when it comes to the sales tax. So this first graph that we have created shows you the monthly sales tax comparison month over month for the years. And so as you can tell, the green one is 2020. So we started great. We're staying above 2019, exactly as we anticipated being. And then when May, we actually received the sales tax in May, but this is for March. So March is when everything kind of started to shut down. You can see that actually dropped down. And now we're slightly below what occurred in April. So what we received in June. So as you can see, we're down approximately 2% from May to June, which is the March to April sales tax. And then we're down about 1% for the month of June 2020 over the month of June 2019. So we're definitely seeing a trend downward. But keep in mind, we are still overall through second quarter up 10% over 2019. So although they are showing a decrease and we do anticipate a decrease of what we have first anticipated, we're not sure we're going to see a huge reduction over 2019. So right now we're looking at first quarter, we brought in 873,000. This is just sales tax, no construction sales tax. We kind of try and keep those separate since there's some different things going on with those. Interestingly, our retail accommodations, those sales tax, which are included in the green here, are did not decrease very much over what we had anticipated. This next graph shows you what our construction sales tax did. So although we were up in first quarter, we're just barely hitting what we hit in 2019 second quarter. Overall, we still are up 5% over 2019. So that just brings us to what we're looking at as our sales tax trend. And as you can see, this includes, I have data back a couple more years, but it's a little skewed because we did huge annexation in 2010 and it includes street tax. And so it's a little skewed, but from 2012 to 2019, you can see we basically doubled our sales tax. So we've definitely got some economic development coming through, and I think we've been kind of working on putting some stuff together to show to council at some point the different economic development things we've been doing. But so as I anticipate, we're going to have a slight decrease, and this includes the sales tax and the criminal justice sales tax. So we will see a small decrease in 2020, and then we'll start climbing back up again. Hopefully, hopefully 2021 doesn't hit us any harder than 2020. But at this point, as I've mentioned previously, we're not heavily reliant on sales tax in our city. And so we're not seeing the decreases that some of the other cities have. And then I just wanted to give you a quick update on our expenses so far, going towards the COVID-related CARES grant and then the FEMA. We did send in a reimbursement request to FEMA for the PPEs that we have to date, and they pay 75%. And it did just come out that that the CARES Act is now being allowed to pay for that additional 25% of our local match for the FEMA funds. So that's good news. So we can get the full reimbursement for the PPE. So this is where we are at this point. Our hazard pay, obviously, we've kind of started increasing what we anticipate is going to be paid in the hazard pay, as if we are still going to keep what council had directed, which was I believe 2 weeks after phase 3. So at this point, we keep pushing that, assuming we're going to spend more money and keep the hazard pay going. So that's one thing to kind of think about as we move forward. We do anticipate having that. And right now I have it budgeted in the CARES grant through middle of August. So, and that is all I have. I just wanted to give you a quick update on where we are with the COVID and the CARES and our sales tax. And that's always a big concern right now in most of the cities. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will be happy to walk through. Let me see if I can unshare. Work?
Work.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Barb. Okay, Mayor,
Oh,
that's your,
One more, can I answer one more thing? I just wanted to tell you some great news that we got from the treasurer's office, state treasurer's office. We had recently gone through and approved us to go through the treasurer's office local program, loan program for the purchase of the Vector truck. When we had originally gotten quoted from the company's lender, we were anticipating a 3.5% interest rate. And then we kind of started looking at the local program, and we were thinking it was going to be around 1.15, and they sold the bonds and it's at 0.5%. So that's definitely going to save us some money. I haven't done the calculation, but between the 3.5 and the 0.5, we're going to save some money on that. So that was a good one. That was it.
thanks, Barb. That ends your department reports, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thanks, Gene. Great reports, everybody. Let's move to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Frederick and a second from Councilmember Dorstad. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? No opposed, consent agenda passes. There's no public hearing tonight. So let's move to action item I, which is the decant facility bid award and contract approval. Eric, do you want to take this?
Yes, good evening, council. We received, put the decant facility out to bid. We received 8 bids from interested contractors. Due to an RCW that was passed that went into effect on June 11th, and we put this out to bid on June 12th, none of the contractors' bids were responsive. They all left out a required list for structural steel subcontractors. So it's the recommendation of our legal counsel to reject all the bids and rebid the project. So we are asking for council to reject all the bids that we received for the decant so we can clean up the language and get it back out to bid.
Go ahead, Kim.
So at 2:54 this afternoon, we received an email from McClure & Sons for a bid protest on this. Will this take care of that protest?
Yes, that's exactly what that protest was about, was the subcontractor language.
Okay, thank you.
So I've got a motion, if I can, unless there's discussion on that, to consistent with staff recommendation to reject all bids received for the award of contract for construction of the Hartford Decant Facility Project number 18037, and to authorize staff to proceed with a new call for bids for the award of a contract for the construction of the project.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on the motion?
Just really quick, my recollection, I don't have the email in front of me that Councilman Daughtry was referring to, but my recollection was that in that email, the sender was claiming that they did meet the requirements of the RCW. Is that not the case?
That is not the case.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, so the motion on the floor is to reject all bids received for the award of contract for the construction of the Hartford Decant Facility Project number 18037, and to authorize staff to proceed with a new call for bids for the award of a contract for the construction of the project. And we'll go ahead and call for a vote on this. Kathy, go ahead and let's do a roll call on it.
Councilmember Daughtry,
Aye.
Councilmember Peter Shagan,
Aye.
Councilmember Frederick,
Aye.
Councilmember Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Jorstad,
Aye.
Councilmember Ewing,
Aye.
Councilmember Tagend.
Aye.
And the motion carries 7-0.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, council.
Let's move on to action item J, which is resolution 2020-18, amending personnel Policy reference Paid Family Medical Leave Act. Anya, you're up.
All right, thank you. So attached in your packet is a draft policy to amend the employee handbook. When the employee handbook was drafted in November 2019, the Washington State Paid Family Medical Leave law was happening and wasn't executed until January 1st, 2020, which is why we are now kind of working on the policy to educate staff about the program. If you don't know what this Washington State Paid Family Medical Leave law is, it's basically an insurance program provided by the state through Employment Security Department that gives a partial wage replacement to employees for when they have medical and family leave reasons that are covered by the WACs and the RCWs attached to that. So the policy really is just about explaining and educating them on the process and how to apply and how that works with and correlates with Family Medical Leave, the federal act, as well as our own leave types that we offer employees. The biggest thing in this policy to note is that there is some discretion for employers to allow a supplemental benefit, meaning the ESD is only giving a partial wage replacement up to $1,000 a week for employees. And we can choose whether or not to provide a supplemental benefit and basically allow them to use vacation leave or sick leave to allow them to get their full wage. This policy that we've drafted is saying that we're not going to be allowing any supplemental benefit at the time. And the reason being is it's ESD is still working out some kinks with their process. They're very behind in processing applications. We've only had 2 staff take advantage of the program so far, and we have to rely on staff to give us their approval notice from ESD and give us their hours requested. So working with finance and HR, we came up with a plan to, for now, recommend that we don't allow this supplemental budget, and we're open to further discussion in the future when the program is really fully implemented and has worked out all the kinks. There's just not a lot of communication between ESD and the employer right now because of medical reasons, so they can't really discuss their cases with us. So that's about it. If you have any questions about the program, let me know. Most of it's pretty laid out in the policy that was recommended through Summit Law Group, helped us draft the policy as well. So yes, Kim?
So if we do not adopt to have the second benefit, is there a time limitation on that, or can we do it at any time? Do we have to wait a year? Is there any rules about that, or can we just make an amendment to what we're doing?
We can just make an amendment, and part of the basis is we'd rather start, with nothing, and we can always build up from that if the program is being used or based off employee feedback on how the program is working. And we have talked to this with the union as well, and they are on board with this policy.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
So can we get a motion on this?
I move to approve resolution 2020-18 amending personal policy regarding Family Paid Medical Leave Act.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Ewing and a second from Councilmember Dickinson. The motion is to pass resolution 2020-18 amending personnel policy reference Paid Family Medical Leave Act. Do I have any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Kathy?
Councilmember Daughtry,
Aye.
Member Peter Shagan,
Aye.
Councilmember Frederick,
Aye.
Councilmember Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Jorstad,
Aye.
Councilmember Ewing,
Aye.
Councilmember Tagent,
Aye.
and motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Council.
Excellent. Thank you, Anya, for working on that. Okay, next action item is K, appoint subcommittee to study mayor's position. Gene.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, council discussed this at some length in regards to whether or not our city was ready for a full-time mayor position. There was some directive to reach out to other cities to see what they currently do and the job description for the mayor and that type of thing, and the city administrator or manager. And so we've done that. We've reached out to Marysville and received some information. We also have started a document showing the accomplishments since the start of former Mayor Spencer's time as mayor, the accomplishments under him and the accomplishments to date under Mayor Galey. And we will prepare that information and get it out to the full council and certainly the members of the subcommittee that we are bringing forward to you for a vote this evening. We've looked at our rules of procedure, and typically this is a council action, and they form the subcommittees, and it's typically no more than 3 people, so we don't have a quorum to deal with. And then that committee will receive this information packet that we're putting together, and then they can have dialogue on whether or not they believe this is good, if this is a timely decision to have a full-time mayor position, or if they would like the salary commission to simply look at the existing salary and if it's suitable for full-time hours. So that's what the subcommittee would look at. Once they decide on that, the council would take a vote. And then the subcommittee or the salary commission would then convene and look at any information that they would need to make a decision on what the salary should be, either full-time mayor position under the council vote or full-time hours as a part-time mayor still. So this evening it's open for council discussion and an ultimate vote on who would be on that subcommittee.
I just, Gene, thanks for that presentation. I want to thank you and Anya for your efforts to kind of gather that information and do that. I've talked to both you and Anya about this and appreciate the efforts that you're putting forward, especially in light to recognize what Mayor Spencer did as a de facto full-time mayor, you know, the accomplishments of Mayor Galey. So I look forward to seeing those.
So I think what we need, if it's the council's wishes, is a motion to form the subcommittee with maybe, and with a discussion to follow of who would be on it.
So I'll make a motion to appoint a subcommittee to study the mayor's position consistent with Gene's explanation.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second, and let's go ahead and have discussion on it then as to who the members would consist of.
Last time
I would like to be a part of that if I could.
Last time, I think we brought this up, and once again, Angie Jorstad wasn't present at that, but 4 people stepped forward, 1 being myself, 1 being Steve Green. I think, remember Gary Petershagen and Kim Daughtry were the 4 of us who said that. So that was just kind of the original people who said, hey, they'd like to be on. I don't know if there's more discussion about Angie. I don't know if you want to be on that. Just want to make sure you had time to comment on that and play this through.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciated the thorough minutes around the discussion and just the different perspectives that were looked at. It seems like a lot of interesting issues were raised. I'm certainly interested in being on that committee, but I also understand that there are other people who are interested as well, and we're part of the discussion. So I'll throw my hat in the ring, and then we can kind of figure out how to narrow it down to 3.
So do we have people who want to be on the, right now, do we have 5 people? Is that what we have? Does everyone originally still want to be on this committee?
I'll withdraw my name.
So that would leave 3, 4th, theoretically speaking, with you, Angie. So
Angie, Marcus, me, and then and then Gary.
Gary.
Correct.
For the record, I am interested, but there were already way too many names in the ring.
What Sean said, I agree.
Well, I think just saying 3 of us all go off next year. If I were to say one thing, there's 3 council people who all have 3 years still remaining after this, and they'll be working through this too. So Angie, if you really want the spot, and I know you're moving forward, I would be willing to jump off. I do really want to be on it, but at the same time, there's 3 of us all jumping off, or not maybe jumping off, but are up for re-election next year. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have our 3.
So that would be Councilmember Jorstad, Councilmember Ewing, and who's the third?
Peter Shagan.
Councilmember Peter Shagan.
Okay. Any other discussion on the formation of the subcommittee?
So is that going to be part of the motion then, is with those 3 names on there?
Yes.
Right, okay, so we can, okay, so we'll do, can I get an amendment to the original motion appointing the 3 to the subcommittee?
So I'll amend the initial motion to include Councilmember Angie Jorstad, Councilmember Steve Ewing, and Councilmember Gary Peter Shagan to be part of the subcommittee. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
would second that.
I have a motion and a second from Councilmember Peter Shagan. Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing no discussion on the amendment, just voting on the amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, going back to the original motion, is there any additional discussion on the original motion to form the subcommittee? Hearing none. Kathy, go ahead and do a roll call on that one, I suppose.
Councilmember Daughtry,
Aye.
Councilmember Peter Shagan,
Aye.
Councilmember Frederick,
Aye.
Councilmember Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Jorstad,
Aye.
Councilmember Ewing,
Aye.
Councilmember Tagent.
Aye.
Motion carries as amended 7-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Council. All right, let's move on to action item L, which is naming of 18th Festival Street. Gene, you're up.
Okay, we talked about this last week, and staff did some significant work in researching names. And one of the things that we were looking to avoid in this particular case was pulling a family name from the history of Lake Stevens, simply because we were trying to create something that was in memory of what might have been here in the past, you know, a historical item or a place, and have something that was marketable as well. And so after, you know, researching a lot of other options, we came up with, I think, 4 alternatives last week. We had some discussion and there was a consensus around Mill Spur Way. And it was presented as Mill Spur being one word. But after some dialogue and hearing some comments from citizens, we felt it was better to separate the mill and the spur so it would be 2 different words. And then because we have already dedicated the walkway in front of the mill as Frank's Way, we felt it probably wasn't a good idea to use way again on this street. So it's our recommendation tonight to move forward with Mill Spur and just call it that. It'll still be known as 18th Street for post box delivery, that type of thing, postal service delivery, excuse me. But the name of the road is proposed to be Mill Spur. There was some question as to why we weren't recognizing the Rucker and the Rucker family and the Rucker brothers. And we have done that through the creation of the mill. You know, the design behind it did pay tribute to one of the buildings that stood in the old Rucker mill. And we are doing a history board on the Rucker brothers inside the mill to pay tribute to that family and what was once here. So at any rate, this before this evening for a vote, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Gene, will this rename the entire segment of 118th all the way up to Pilchuck Elementary?
It will not. It'll just be from Main Street heading west.
Just for that segment?
Just exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So I just want to say, Gene, thank you to you and Don and others who are responsible for all the effort in doing the research and presenting that. I especially appreciate the depiction of that, and what the artistic rendition of what that'll look like when people go down Main Street that was included in our packet. That was a nice visual, helpful for me to see that.
We intend for Mill Spur to be open all the time, except if we have it shut down for an event, right?
That's correct. That's the intent behind it. And I will add that there is, in one of the history books of Lake Stevens, there was an old map of a road section in this particular area that was referred to as Spur to Mill or something like that. So that's where that name came from. So it was in one of the history books shown as an access down to the mill.
If there's no further discussion, I would recommend or move that we designate 18th Street Northeast from Main Street to the west as Mill Spur.
Second.
Great, we got a motion and a second. The motion on the floor is to name 18th Street from Main Street to west as Mill Spur. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, motion passes. Thank you. That'll be a good name. I think it'll be a solid name for history, as well as a good catchy name to attract people downtown and enjoy what we got going on down there. Good stuff. Let's move on to the discussion items. M, which is Public Works Organization Chart. Anya and Eric.
I'll let Anya do the intro and then I'll fill in the blanks.
Okay.
Yes. So I wanted to first go over what's in your packet. And Kathy, can I be a host so I can share my screen, please? And while you do that, I'll start talking. So in our council retreat this year, we talked about strategic planning and staffing levels, and the intention of that plan was to come back after COVID settled down and with the new budget season to come as a city as a whole and talk about strategic planning. However, the Public Works Department is in dire need of a reorganization, mostly due to the supervision aspect. The first, let me hold on one second and show my screen now. Oh, I'm still disabled, Kathy.
Oh, I thought I had it. Sorry. 1 second. Find you in my long list. Okay, try again.
Perfect. Okay. You guys see my screen now?
Mhm.
Okay. The current structure has the public operations manager supervising 22 staff, and that does not include seasonals. The recommended direct report span of control is 5 to 7. And so the plan, actually doing some research from 2018, when the public operations manager was first brought on, there was a plan to do a phased approach in a restructure of the Public Works Department. Phase 1 was establishing the operations manager, which did happen. Phase 2 was to establish field supervisors that would help with the span of control, build some structure, allow for supervision and employee development and succession planning. For whatever reason, unknown to me, phase 2 wasn't executed. It wasn't budgeted for, so we never got the supervision. So since September 2018, when the operations manager came on, he's been supervising 22 staff. In your packet, I've included some information on what a lead versus a supervisor does to kind of help you know what the lead does, which is not supervision. They don't provide performance evaluations or corrective action. They are leading a crew, the task for the day or the project for the day, and then they report to the supervisor on accomplishments. And they're able to provide some feedback, but through the supervisor.
And Anya, I might mention that if council recalls, we chose to delay the supervisor hiring to put more boots on the ground, people in the field mowing the grass. So we chose to move forward with the budget that we had to get people out mowing the grass and working and doing work in the field. So that's why it wasn't brought back at that time. Those subsequent budget discussions all revolved around, we need people in the field first. So anyhow, go ahead.
And right now, we have a very unique opportunity. We've had some turnover this spring and we've had some vacant positions, which is allowing Eric to play with his positions in order to have a essentially cost neutral option in order to make this restructure happen. This second page of this document shows the strategic plan of Public Works through 2024, and the highlighted in each color is which year. The immediate action is to hire one Public Works supervisor in 2020 immediately, and then in 2021 budget, hire the next Public Works supervisor under streets, and the third supervisor would be under parks eventually in 2022. And in the meantime, the operations manager would supervise parks. The second addition immediately is a request to have a crew leader over parks to be able to oversight on those projects to assist the operations manager with all the parks projects. And the third is a reallocation of the capital projects coordinator to manager. And all of this summarized is eliminating 2 crew worker 1 positions that we currently have vacant. And that dollar amount here on the spreadsheet, 133,000, that is with salary and benefits of a crew worker, 2 crew worker 1s at mid-range, about step D. So if we eliminate 2 of those and eliminate a crew worker 2, that again is salary and benefits, 81,000 for 1 crew worker 2. Establishing a crew leader, that is the cost for the same step, a mid-range of a crew leader, and establishing a Public Works supervisor. This is a squiggly line, it's approximated because that's the reason why we want to discuss this today. If council supports this plan, we would then need to do a comprehensive look at, we'd have to draft a position description and really look at the salary. We'd have to look at compression and equity issues in our salary structure in order to establish that supervisor. But I will show you in the next thing, my next spreadsheet on how I kind of came to that estimate. And then the next line item is the reclassification and the approximate cost of that. Again, we would have to draft the position description and really look thoroughly at our classification and salary plan. And with all of this being said, the red and the green numbers, this plan for the immediate action in 2020, the 3 positions, the crew leader, the supervisor, and the capital project manager, would cost around roughly 16,500.
Anya, can you mention, I know you don't have the spreadsheet yet, but the savings we've had this year from not.
That's what I'm bringing up right now, yeah.
Thank you.
So this is the next thing I'm going to show you. This is not in your packet. This is something that shows all of the capital projects positions in Public Works and who's occupied in them, and and how they are allocated per fund. So how they're allocated for parks, the general fund, streets, and storm. The yellow highlighted positions are current vacant positions. And over here is the salary and benefits of those positions. Salary and benefits total is in line O here. And this next section, column P through S, is the cost savings distribution of the vacant positions we've had in 2020. And the highlighted ones in yellow, we can follow all the way through. Part of the plan on how to help fund this as well, the reorganization, is to defer the GIS analyst until summer 2021, which is a cost savings of $116,000 alone. These other cost savings measures throughout 2020, some of them were due to COVID, and you'll see those comments here, but the end total, what we wanted to show you, was down here. So this right here, 79,000 is the cost savings for parks general fund currently in 2020, 11,000 for general fund, 265 for storm, and 72 for streets, with a grand total of 428. And
So
how
how
I
does-
can go ahead.
No, keep going.
Okay. Then this next tab was just how we calculated the cost of benefits for the crew worker one, and we were looking at the cost impact of if we were to eliminate 2 positions versus 1. And some other spreadsheet that I came up with is this is the market survey from 2019 for field supervisors with our comparable cities. So we started to look at the salaries. This is based off 2019 data again. So we assumed, you know, we did a COLA of 1.53 in 2020, which is shown here. And that's the market average if we were to apply that COLA. And as you can see, the supervisor is very split between union and non-union. So that is one thing that why we're bringing it to you today is for discussion, because we still need to discuss some things with the union. There's positions of theirs that we'll be essentially eliminating, and then we'll be hiring or establishing a brand new position, which could be union or non-union. And the bottom of the spreadsheet looks at what a crew leader pay is. And when we pay a crew leader 5% out of class pay, that would be the cost. So, and then this is the public works operations manager. Like I said, we would have to look at compression if we were to hire a mid kind of range supervisor in there. So my estimate looking at that was that the tentative range could be minimum of 85 and a max of 108 for a supervisor. But that's very tentative because we haven't even built a position description. We're just looking, this is just based off market survey from 2019. We're expected to get 2020 data really shortly. And lastly on this tab is just what I could find in our salary survey for a public works manager and their salaries, which is how I came up with the rough estimate of salary and benefits for the reclassification piece of that position. Eric, you have any gaps to fill in?
Man, not really. You did a fantastic job of bringing this forward. I would like to add that this is right in line with, you know, the phased approach that we had laid out in 2018 when Terry and I had brought this back or brought this forward. We were able to pull out that document and see that we're right on target. This also plays well with the discussion that we had at the council retreat earlier this year. Specifically going down the road of getting this parks department working from the bottom up, getting the workers boots on the ground in the field, work on getting a crew leader. And as we work through this succession, eventually ending up hopefully by 2022, 2023 with a supervisor in parks to continue to build out that department. It is a phased approach, kind of some baby steps as we move forward. There's significant savings that Anya went over. We kind of thought we'd like to get this for you or to you before the summer break so you could stew on it and mull over it, and we can do our due diligence and diving deeper into what those positions look like and salaries and things so we could come back to you at the end of August at the next meeting or the first one in September, hopefully for approval.
So Eric, how does this look for boots on the ground?
This is really good for boots on the ground. We're actually adding the parks lead. We have 2 crew worker ones posted currently that Anya had mentioned that we had people leaving. What this doesn't show as far as on the right down there at the key is as we move forward into 21, 22, 23, 24, we are adding additional parks workers, crew workers, and crew worker 2. So you kind of see those in the gray box down at the bottom. Those are additional positions to keep boots on the ground. So we will be coming back through the normal budget process, asking for more crew workers as well. This was more of lining up the structure and the supervision hierarchy. So the biggest thing is we delayed hiring a bunch of people when we thought the COVID budget might have been a little bit worse than what it came in at. So we've held off hiring people. So currently we have several vacancies, plus we're not using the DOC that are kind of killing us. So the sooner we can get this figured out and get all these positions hired, the better off we'll be. So we're really just short this year with adding North Cove and Davies Beach and all the work we have. I won't say it hasn't been a challenge, mostly just because we have vacancies that we haven't filled.
Well, I like the fact that we're going back to the plan of 2018 and going back to the phased approach. So I commend you on bringing that back, as you know, especially in looking at what COVID's been doing to us.
Well, we're happy that there's significant savings, but what we didn't want to do is, you'll see savings this year, yes, but what does it look like in 2021? You don't have those savings. So what's the overall impact moving forward? So that's what Anya and I, and working with Josh, tried to bring back something fairly comprehensive and detailed here so we could understand what the long-term impacts were and where we think we're going to be. So Anya did a ton of work on the spreadsheet and figuring all this stuff out. She did a great job. So I thank you for that, Anya.
No problem.
So Anya, could you share that spreadsheet with us so we can continue to mull this over, or do you want to refine it before you do that?
I think it's pretty much good to go. I don't mind sharing it. We're just kind of working over the last few days and fine tuning it for tonight, but I don't mind sharing it.
I'd appreciate it so I can go over the numbers.
Sure.
Great job, Anya, on the spreadsheet once again. Eric, I like what Kim said. We're going back to the 2018 plan. That being said, sounds like we've saved a lot of money this year by not hiring people. I'll say it again, I am concerned about what next year brings and what the rest of the year brings, but at the same time, this looks like a pretty, honestly, a good plan for this year. So,
thank you. I think it's a pretty good plan too. So.
I just want to thank Anya. I had a chance to connect with her and kind of go over some of the, discussion on that. Some of the things I wanted clarification on, and appreciate the packet and appreciate the financial information that's shared. That's really helpful to see a spreadsheet, see where the cost savings. So Eric, you and Anya did a great job of presenting that to us. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I do have a question.
Oh. Go ahead, Sean.
My question is really, and Anya, Eric, I echo everything that's been said. Great work, great presentation. I do have a question about the numbers as they exist here, and I'm just trying to sort it out in my mind here. Completely understand span of control. My curiosity, my question is specific to the capital projects manager. To that reclassification going from coordinator to manager, because it's not really spelled out in the document. At least I didn't see it spelled out in the package, the difference. What is the benefit of the reclassification? Is it something based in bargaining unit contract language as far as job duties, or, and I asked the question, I asked for the clarification on the reclassification because in regards to the 2020 changes, without that reclassification, the budget impact of this restructuring goes from 16,607 all the way down to 1,652, echoing the budgetary concerns. So just trying to understand the
Sure.
value.
I'll take part of it and then maybe Anya can talk to the spreadsheet. The capital projects coordinator currently, the city went into partnerships with the current person in that position and we split a schooling for him 50-50. It was about a $4,000 class. He paid half, we picked up half. With the unwritten agreement that when he successfully completed the class and took his exam and got his PMP license for certified project manager, that we would look at a reclass of that position. So he's completed the class and has signed up to take the test. So I don't know specifically that the duties, Councilmember Frederick, will change a lot. We have had discussion, it doesn't show it on this plan of the org here, but potentially putting, you know, my span of control is fairly large, potentially putting the capital project inspector and stuff under the capital projects manager too, to gain him some supervisor experience since they work very closely together. So that's one option we toyed with too. But really it was a plan and schooling and moving forward as far as employee growth and development is what brought it more forward. So.
Okay.
So piggybacking on to Councilmember Frederick's comment, the ones that we're trying to do immediately, the Public Works Supervisor in Stormwater and the Public Works Crew Leader in Parks, are we looking at that as coming from within, or are we going to go out and look for other people? What do you think is going to happen?
I think we're going to post inside and out, but I do see an internal candidate probably for the Parks Crew Leader. And then we would obviously have to backfill a vacancy if that happened. And the supervisor could go either way. I think that's all going to depend, Councilmember Daughtry, if it ends up a union or a non-union position, which we still need to hash out in the coming month and a half with the union. If it's a union position, you will probably see some internal candidates. If it's not, I think we might be looking at an outside candidate. But either way, if they were internal and they climbed up the ladder, which they certainly have that opportunity, we would definitely backfill the spots out in the field that, you know, we need to do. So.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
This is Angie. I want to echo the appreciation for both Eric and Anya in presenting this information in such a clear manner. Super helpful to see sort of what you're thinking and what you're planning moving forward. My concern, and I voiced this at the retreat, is it's hard without a full comprehensive look at each of the departments within the city to have context around this. And my worry is, are we putting funds towards expanding the Public Works Department at the expense of police department, at the expense of our community development department or IT or HR departments, at the expense of having a full-time mayor? I think it's really hard to look at this. It feels sort of like it's in a vacuum and we're just looking at one department. So my hope is moving forward that we will have opportunities to see this level of information for all of the departments within the city over the next 6 months or so. I think that my understanding is that there's staffing concerns in many departments. And so I just want to make sure that we're paying attention to all of the areas where there are shortcomings and gaps to be filled.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. That's why we kind of went forward with a plan here to have a net no new FTE thing here for 2020. And these other things are shown out 2021, 22, but those are obviously things that we bring back through the budget process each year for that year to be able to take that in-depth look that you're speaking of. So again, it's a phased approach, and if economy changes or situation changes, those are discussions we can have at budget time if we choose to move forward or defer it another year. So it leaves it somewhat flexible as well, based on the current market.
And I'd like to add to that is we started working on a strategic plan as a city whole with each department after the retreat, and then COVID hit. And it didn't seem the right timing, to talk about adding positions or asking for money, with we don't know what the economy is going to do. So our plan is to continue with that strategic plan and bring it back, hopefully during the budget season. So maybe they'll be allowing to make some decisions during that time. To make it more meaningful, making sure that we're putting the work in for a strategic plan and knowing that we have resources out there, to implement.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that in no way am I stating that I don't think the work is happening, and COVID-19 has definitely thrown all of us for quite a loop. So I just want to underscore, I appreciate the work that you're all doing and putting into this, and just want to make sure we're taking a holistic view. Thank you so much.
So I got two things. A little tongue in cheek on you. Not spending any money. You did really good last week. The right, Marcus? I tried. The other thing is, it occurred to me that we do these discussions quite often. Every 3 or 4 months we go through some kind of a personnel change, or here we need another person here, and we need this and that. In this particular one, and any others, I haven't heard anything from the mayor or Gene, and I'm kind of interested in hearing what their outtake on this is, and because you two have supposedly the entire thing in your mind. I know Anya does too, but you've got the entire organization in your mind all the time. So what do you think about this? Just your opinion.
Yeah, so from my standpoint, it's funny being on city council for the last 2 years. And then when you become the mayor, you get a completely different perspective because you go into the office and you go visit the public works guys, and you see how much work they're doing and how much work they're not doing, because we're running lean, right? And believe me, you guys know I like lean machines, right? But sometimes it's almost too lean for what we have going on, and especially where we're expanding our parks. If you drive around the city, Eric probably gets tired of seeing me in the morning because I'm like, hey, Eric, we need to go chop these bushes, or we need to get the grass out of this sidewalk, right? And bless his heart, he gives me a nod. Yeah, we'll get on it. But the reality of it is, it's a manpower issue when it comes down bottom line, right? So for me, when I look at the public works diagram and what Eric has put together here, I think it's a good roadmap for us as we move ahead and look at the next couple of years' budgets. I hear Councilmember Jorstad's concerns, and I agree with you. We really need to do this with each department and compile it so that you get the big picture, not just, you get the 8x11, not just the 5x7, right? So, and we'll work on that. We'll get that done for you. That's my perspective on it. We run a lean team. I'm proud of these guys and gals and all that they do. And but we can only put as many people in as we have money for, right? So that's the bottom line. Gene.
Thank you, Mayor, and you're absolutely right. I agree with what you said. The other component to this is we talked about span of control, and that's one aspect. But the one thing that we're really working on with the crew is trying to mentor them. There's example after example of where we go do jobs and we end up going back out and doing some follow-up. And without a mentorship program through a supervisor to help these folks understand what a complete job looks like, it's non-existent. And so we end up being inefficient at times, having to go back and redo things once the manager gets a chance to go out and look at the product. That could be avoided by some additional management in the field, helping to mentor these employees so that they can get the job done right the first time and not have to return.
Well said.
All right, I appreciate it. Every once in a while, I like to hear what your guys' opinion are, because I know you sit there and listen to us because it's our council meeting, but you're the man, you're the guys that are in charge. I like to hear your opinions every once in a while. So I'm sorry I put you on the spot, but I needed to know.
Good stuff.
I just want to throw my 2 cents in there. I appreciate what Councilmember Jorstad said, and also the mayor with regard to that holistic approach. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of public works and what's going on with the police department, understanding their dynamics, but with the other departments, I feel less confident. So I appreciate her bringing that up and encouraging us in that direction. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other discussion on this topic? Excellent. Excellent job, Anya. Excellent job, Eric. Good stuff. We'll revisit this here in the future.
Yeah.
Do we,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Eric. I said, do we have council support to move forward with drafting job descriptions and bringing it back for approval in August?
You've got my support.
I'm seeing north and south heads.
Okay, perfect.
Thumbs up.
Great, thank you, council.
Okay, great. Okay, we have an executive session. The executive session is going to be reference potential litigation with possible action to follow. Kathy, how long do we need for this?
That would not be my call.
10 minutes.
What was it?
I'd say 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay, so one thing I'm going to recommend to the council members, make sure that you turn off your video and your sound, and also the sound of this Zoom, because last time we were hearing people in the Zoom in our executive session, right? So make sure we're turning all that off. So we will return in 10 minutes.
The executive session is extended 2 minutes. The executive session is extended another 2 minutes.
Haven't gotten through it all yet.
So missing Mary.
Why don't we go ahead and give her another minute, and if she doesn't show up, we'll go ahead and make the motion and see if it votes accordingly.
Okay, do we have a motion out of the executive session?
I'd like to move to approve the change order for SRV construction in the amount of $438,000.
I would second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. I, in looking at the agenda, failed to open up the table for citizens' comments prior to going into the executive session. So I would like to do that, give that opportunity before we adjourn. So with that in mind, I'll open up the floor to citizens' comments. If you have a comment, you'll be given 3 minutes. If you'd give your name and your address, and then you'll have the floor for 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to provide citizens' comments at the end of this meeting? You can raise your hand or say your first name.
This is Mark.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to comment on citizen comments at the end of the meeting. I understand that was a result of the retreat in February, and I think it's, I noticed, it took me a while to notice it, but I think it's really great to have an opportunity to comment at the very end in case there's something that came up during the agenda that you weren't aware of or you have a new thought on. It's really good to kick off a meeting with citizen comments, but to have that opportunity at the end, I really appreciate the council sticking that in there, and we'll see how it works out, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other citizens' comments for tonight? Melissa?
Hi, thank you. Melissa Knack, 12110 26th Street Northeast. Kathy, thank you for everything you've done for our city. I would like to say that. You're going to be missed. I also want to thank the council and you, Mayor Gailey, for working with the library. I know it's a really tough thing we're doing here, and I just appreciate you guys taking the time to do it right and get everyone's input on it. I just want to thank you all for that, and thank you all for doing a good job. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Melissa.
No problem. Have a good night, guys.
Mayor Gailey?
Yes.
Could I ask for a revote on the executive session? The recorder wasn't running.
We can. Let me finish citizens' comments and then we'll call for a vote on that again.
Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments? Any other citizens' comments? I'm not seeing any other citizens' comments, so we'll close citizens' comments. We'll go back to the executive session and we'll do a roll call vote on the motion from the executive session. Go ahead, Kathy.
So the motion was made by Councilmember Daughtry and seconded by Councilmember Tagent to approve the change order to the SRV contract. Councilmember Daughtry.
Aye.
Councilmember Peter Shagan.
Aye.
Councilmember Frederick.
Aye.
Councilmember Dickinson, I don't believe is present. Councilmember Jorstad.
Aye.
Councilmember Ewing.
Aye.
Councilmember Tagent.
Aye.
Thank you for indulging me.
Excellent. Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks,
Okay.
Kathy. Good luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathy.
Yes,
Can't believe it. I can't believe we let you go, but I guess that resolution never passed.
Thank you. You've all been really great to work with, and I've enjoyed my time.
Thank you,
Great.
Kathy.
Great. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Anybody opposed? Excellent. Have a great night. Have a great couple weeks off, and we'll see you in August.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night, all.